blue sky and a beautiful spot for some droning. I think I'll get myself up that hill. Oh, look at me, a little spring in my step. I wonder what the weather's like all the way at the top. This is so completely ridiculous. Right folks, if you take the Mini 3 Pro off in super windy conditions, it will rocket off in the direction of the wind, but it will compose itself a little bit, bounce around like crazy at the end of the day. Don't expect too much if you're doing close-up manoeuvres, but if you're a little bit further away, you're putting in a bit of power, some kind of movement, you'll probably get some decent results. It really is an incredible performance for such a small drone. You'll see that later on in the live example, so stay tuned for that. However, there are limits at the end of the day to what you can expect. This is from the introductory sequence. Pay close attention to the telemetry. I'm doing a hand takeoff as you saw. There it goes, at which point it rockets forward. Right, let's pause there for a second. That entire time I was pulling back on the right stick in normal mode. It was doing nothing evidently. Emergency switch to sports mode. Surely that will get the job done. Sure enough, it starts coming back towards me at 1 or 2 meters a second, mindful that sports mode can go at 16 meters per second. Drone's only 13 meters away, looking good, but wait, huge gust of wind, boom, and before we know it, it's 28 meters away again. By my reckoning, that gust must have been about 50 miles an hour or so. Way too much. Really silly, but at the end of the day I got it back to 18 meters and landed it in a puddle. I don't know what to say. That was easily the most stupid thing I've ever done. No, that's not true. But with the drone, that's verging on it. Right, I got it down and back into the grass. We're never doing that again. It's curious how short your memory can be. You say one thing and then do the complete opposite. I haven't lost the drone, I nearly lost it. I have it back in the car with me, thank goodness. I've been sitting in this car ironically for 3 hours or so. That's not ironic. What's ironic is that I've been editing the video in this car about flying in windy conditions. Wanted to get a nice shot of a beach down there, which I did, and then the drone got caught up in a gust because I just took it a little bit above this kind of embankment. Now, in fairness to myself, I did make an assessment of what direction the wind was blowing. It was blowing straight in towards the beach. So if there was going to be a problem, the drone wasn't going to get taken out to sea. This is good. And behind that beach is just grass and fields and stuff. So ultimately, there was never going to be, or shouldn't have been, a massive drama. But I tell you what, it is still scary as heck. Watch this video. I'm flying forwards at full speed in sports mode. I've lowered the drone as low as possible and it still will not move forward. I eventually just had to give up on it and dump it in the grass. Well, before that act of incredible silliness, I did in fact take the drone to the top of another mountain along this astonishing road. That's active track, by the way, following the car, doing a very good job, but that's a topic for another video. In a couple of minutes I'll take you through a live flight so you can see the drone in action, but first things first, I want to show you the plethora of warnings that DJI gives you when you're flying in these conditions. Now look at this incredible shot. It's smooth. The drone is performing brilliantly. All that being said, from the second it was taken off, we got a strong wind warning. The DJI Fly app disables return to home. We're told the battery level is low despite being at 86%. Same flight, it started raining and I'm trying to get back to the car flying into the wind. Doesn't look like I'm going very fast, but I'm flying forwards at full speed in sports mode. In terms of what I'm seeing on the screen, strong wind warning, that's to be expected. This one's a bit scary. Aircraft battery low, return to home promptly. It's not low, it's at 79%. Now we're being told the battery is under full load. And look at the telemetry again. I'm flying forwards at full speed. I'm achieving about 5 or 6 meters per second. Okay, a little bit more now. I should be achieving about 16 meters per second. Not to worry, I got it back at the end of the day, and since I'm close to the car, I'll take some panoramas. That's a good thing to do. Oh, aircraft moving, unable to start shooting. Oops. Different location, beautiful setting, but too windy to fly comfortably. Again, aircraft is moving, unable to start shooting a panorama. But look, I press the record button, I get the first photo in, and it cuts out. These landscapes are pretty dramatic. You can see why I would want to get the drone up. The only problem is it's crazy windy, so this shot was speeded up 2 times in post, and this shot, flying full speed in sports mode into the wind, is speeded up 4 times in post. Keep in mind that if it's windy on the ground in front of your face, it's going to be way more windy when you are up in the air. I'm flying backwards at full speed in sports mode, and the most I can achieve is 6 or so meters per second, compared with the top speed of 16 meters a second. Now this has a huge impact in terms of the length of time it takes to get the drone back, and if you've not left yourself enough battery, you really could get yourself into trouble. Speaking of getting into trouble, I really had to take these shots. You can see why, it just looks amazing. In fact, look at this shot, it's on the 2 times zoom. The drone is performing outstandingly, it's stable, the gimbal is controlling everything, it's really, really good. However, check this out, huge gust of wind coming up. Oh, that's a little bit scary. Trust me, when you're standing on the ground and the drone is doing that and you're trying to land it, that's uncomfortable. Speaking of uncomfortable, I really wanted to get a bird's eye shot of this road that seems to go to nowhere. Forgive me for the fact it's totally underexposed, I wasn't prepared for this shot, but there's the road there kind of disappearing into the loch. Everything seems okay until huge gust of wind. Oh my goodness, let me tell you, squeaky bum time there. I've never seen that happen before. So, for sure, the Mini 3 Pro puts out an incredible result in windy conditions. You wouldn't know from most of the footage that it was windy, but I don't want you to lose your drone. If the wind is behind that drone, it will disappear off, and before you know it, it's 500, 600, 700 meters away. As you've seen, it can be hard to get that drone back, even in sports mode. Taking nothing away from the incredible performance of the Mini 3 Pro, that will certainly satisfy DJI's target market for this drone at the end of the day. If I was doing some higher end client work where the result mattered and I knew I was going to be filming in hostile environments, I would definitely give some thought to paying extra for the Air 2S, the Mavic 3 or maybe a Mavic 2 Pro. Be sure to head down to the description and download yourself a copy of our DJI drone comparison chart. It will really help you decipher all of these specifications. And while you're at it, if you haven't done it already, get yourself a copy of our free ebook From Drone Zero to Drone Hero, 37 tips to get you flying like a filmmaker. Top of a mountain seems as good a place as any to see how the Mini 3 Pro performs in the wind. The wind is blasting me in the face. Yeah, it's windy. Taking off is not going to be a whole lot of fun. I'm going to do a hand takeoff because I'm sure as soon as the props start spinning, if it was on a rocket, it will just flip. I'll do a hand takeoff, the wind will push it that way out of my hand. All should be well. Wish me luck. Okay, that was easy enough. I'm going to have to be very careful here because it kind of wants to fly into me, so if you see me absolutely dive out the way, you'll know why. Well, as you can see, it's holding position fine. I'm going to have to be a little bit careful because, oh, it's going crazy. But it is holding position. The footage of the camera is kind of shaky, but I think that is in part because we're close to the ground, so we've got a real sense of motion because we are so close to the ground. If this was up in the air, it might be okay. So let's do just that. Let's take it up in the air a little bit. I'm not going to take it up too high. Strong wind warning, aircraft unable to return to home automatically. Well, that's a little bit scary, isn't it? So we're going to be super, super careful. Let's take it up to 50 meters. There's the car park. I think we'll maybe have to turn it around at some point so we don't have to look at it like that. I can hear those motors going crazy up there, as if it just tore across the top of my head there in sports mode, which it didn't. It was just a hold position. Speaking of sports mode, let's see how fast it can fly forwards in sports mode. We know that it can reach 16 meters per second in still conditions, and it's peaking out at 5 meters a second. Battery full load, check whether, yes, the aircraft is under heavy load, 6 meters a second. The reason this matters is because you might need to rely on sports mode to get you home if it's crazy windy someday. You put it into sports mode for extra oomph. If you're really flying this thing in a hurricane, you might not get it home. Right, let's do sports mode going the other way. I'll turn this thing around and we'll have the wind on our back. And you'll probably find that before you know it, it's 600 meters away or something like that. We'll just go directly in the opposite direction. And 1, 2, 3, go, 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 go! Okay, straight away we're up to 16 meters per second, 16.5, 16.6, 16.7. Going over that incredible road. Right, that's as far as I'm prepared to go away, because I know that it's going to be pretty hard to get it back. Flying forwards at full speed. And there we have it again, 5 or 6 meters per second, battery load full. It really doesn't like that at all. Wow, I'm getting rocked in my seat here. We're now in normal mode. It's looking pretty stable, to be honest with you. It's a little bit gusty now. The wind isn't consistent, but still pretty strong. What I want to see is what speed it achieves in normal mode. The rated speed in normal mode is 10 meters per second. Does the drone use its extra power to achieve that 10 meters per second when it's flying into the wind, or does it not? So let's find out. Let's fly backwards at full speed in normal mode and see what speed we get. Three meters per second, 4 meters per second. It's really struggling. Wow. And let's fly forwards with the wind behind us at full speed. Bang, well, we're up to our 9, there's our 10 meters per second, there's full speed. And we're kind of limited to that, it's not going flying past that. I'm impressed though, the original Mini would have never got this done. We've got pretty much the same specifications here on the Mini 3 as we do with the Mini 2. Oh, it's getting pushed. Oh, this is extremely uncomfortable. But I've got my finger ready on the stick to pull it back if I need to. It's really diving about there. I think it's time to get this down before I get a drone buried in my face. Oh, down safe and sound. Just in time for a phone call from Alina. Righto folks, I'm having great fun filming and editing these adventure style videos. Thank you for all your kind words and support in the comments. Don't forget to check out all our free guides down in the comments, and we have premium content courses if you really want to get into this stuff. Until next time, happy flying.